Okay, good. Story about Baal Shem Tov Motzei Shabbos is a skula for all good things, and this story is a really, really special story to me. There are many stories about Baal Shem Tov, but we don't really have too many descriptions of a Farbrengen of the Baal Shem Tov, of how the Baal Shem Tov would hold court. And although there are many stories about this, but this is an authentic story transmitted from Rebbe to Rebbe. And more, the previous Rebbe actually says that some details of the story were only shared the week before the Alter was passing, which sort of indicates that it wasn't allowed to be shared until that point. So this letter is printed in the back of the Tehillim, back of the Oil Yosef Yitzchak Tehillim, and the Baal Shem Tov, as is famous, would always draw very simple people close to him, and that was the reason why his popularity grew exponentially. All these very simple people were drawn to him because they knew how he cherished simple people. But the great sages and tzaddikim, who were also students of the Baal Shem Tov, they weren't so fond of this practice, and they didn't understand it either. And although it was very common for the Baal Shem Tov to ask his students to travel far, to go to simple people and to learn from them what love means, what Avos Yisrael means, what Emunah means, what trust in Hashem means. And he would tell them, you tell these great tzaddikim goyim, very, very great rabbis, you tell them, you want to know what faith in God means? Go travel to Yankel the butcher in Zlobin. You want to know what love Avos Yisrael means? Go see the Chaim the fisherman in Moscow. So the students of Baal Shem Tov were familiar with this practice of Baal Shem Tov of learning from simple people, but they still didn't really appreciate the Baal Shem Tov's personal encouragement to bring simple people close to him, and certainly they didn't want to emulate this practice either and do this themselves. So the Baal Shem Tov would have the custom of having two of the Shabbos meals in public. When guests would come to Baal Shem Tov, there would only be they would only be able to participate in two of the meals. The first meal was designated. The third meal was designated only for the Chavrai Kadisha, the holy assembly, the holy brotherhood of the Baal Shem Tov, and the guests were not allowed to participate. So one Shabbos in the summertime, there was an event that happened that frightened and caused all the students of the Baal Shem Tov, the Chavrai Kadisha, Holy Brotherhood, to tremble. And that Shabbos, many guests had arrived. Some of them were farmers, some of them were shoemakers, some of them were tailors, some of them were had vineyards, some of them raised animals and birds, some of them went to the marketplace to buy and sell. And on that night, Friday night, the Baal Shem Tov showed a lot of closeness to these simple people. To one person, he let him use his cup, and to another, he gave him the leftover wine from his cup. Meaning to one of them, he gave the Baal Shem Tov gave his cup to use to make kiddush. To some of them, he gave pieces of bread from his challah that he made a bracha on. Of course, when we're talking about a tzaddik, it's not just sharing his food with him. As these students of Baal Shem Tov knew, this meant something very special. He was giving them great blessings and great divine light by giving them his cup and his bread, and it was something very unique. And this really caused the students of Baal Shem Tov, the closer students, the Chavrai Kadisha, to wonder. The guests knew that they weren't invited to this other meal, and so instead of going to the meal, they weren't allowed to stand even from a distance. That was reserved only for the Chavrai Kadisha, the Holy Brotherhood. So instead, they went to, after they had their Shabbos meal, they went to the shul of the Baal Shem Tov to say Tehillim. And this event happened in the years, between the years Tavkuf Yud Gimel, Tavkuf Tezvav. And by that time, the Baal Shem Tov had already very great tzaddikim as his students. Among them were the Mezritcher Maggid and the Gaon Milpona, Rabbi Yaakov Milpona, the Yid HaKadosh. So when the Baal Shem Tov sat down to the second meal, he arranged his students to sit down as the order. Hashem had a certain order where everyone would sit. And after they sat for a while, the Baal Shem Tov started to say a teaching. And Chavrei Kadisha, the Holy Brotherhood, was really enjoying the pleasantness of Hashem in his presence. The way they would gather together, the way the Shem Tov would hold court was they would sing special songs. And they saw that Shabbos that the Baal Shem Tov was in a very elated mood. And they were so happy and so joyous and thanked Hashem that they were merited to be students of the Baal Shem Tov. But some of these students of Baal Shem Tov, some of the Holy Brotherhood, they started to wonder, started to question, and to think, now it's really nice, now it's great. But last night, when we had all these simple people here, none of them understood the teachings of Baal Shem Tov. And they couldn't figure out, they were thinking themselves, why did he give his wine to them and his bread to them? What does that mean? While they were thinking this, they saw the Baal Shem Tov, the face of the Baal Shem Tov became very serious. And he had he entered into what is called dveikus, maybe a rough translation of that may be a spiritual trance. And he was in a great state of attachment to godliness and dveikus. He started to say teaching on the pasuk we just said in V'yitin Lacha, Shalom, Shalom, Rachad Karev. Peace, peace to those who are far, to those who are near. And Hashem explained, there are people which are far. People who are far means those who need to do tshuva. People who are close means those who are tzaddikim. And the Rachad Karev means that there are people who have been far, but they've become very close. And when they do become close after being far, they're able to reach even higher level than who? And then they do tshuva, they reach an even higher place than perfect tzaddikim. When someone does tshuva, the Gemara says they reach a place higher than the perfect tzaddikim. And the Baal Shem Tov explained that the words of the Gemara are very precise. They're higher than perfect tzaddikim. And he said there are two ways of serving Hashem: the path of tzaddikim and the path of Baal Teshuvah. And he said that the simple people have a similar merit to that of a Baal Shuvah. A Baal Shuvah has to regret the past and to decide for the future to act differently. In a similar way, simple people, their sincerity is similar to that of the Baal Shuvah. Just like a Baal Shuvah regrets the past and decides for the future, so too these simple people, they have also that similar kind of feeling. And therefore, they are in a similar spiritual caliber of that of the Baal Shuvah. And when the Baal Shem Tov started to sing, after he finished saying this teaching, those students of the Baal Shem Tov who were wondering about the Baal Shem Tov's custom of bringing these simple people closer to him and showing closeness and affection to them, they started to think the reason the Baal Shem Tov is talking about this is because he could read our thoughts. And that's why he's saying this. And when the Baal Shem Tov, after being in the state of this dveikus, incredible attachment to godliness, incredible closeness and closing his eyes and being up there, he opened his eyes and he looked in the face of every single one of his students very deeply. And he said that everyone should put their right hand on the shoulder of the one that's sitting next to them, so that they all become connected to each other. And the Baal Shem Tov sat at the head of the table, and he told them to sing a few songs. And while they were sitting there singing songs, and then they concluded singing the songs, Baal Shem Tov said they should close their eyes, And they shouldn't open their eyes until he tells them to open their eyes. And he put his two holy hands on the two students next to him. He put his left hand on the student to his left and the right hand on the student to his right. And all of a sudden, the students of Baal Shem Tov suddenly heard a beautiful, beautiful song, a beautiful melodious voice, many voices. They heard one person saying, Rabbi Shalom, Master of the universe, your words are pure. And another person is singing and saying, Master of the universe, test me, cleanse me. Another person singing, dear beloved Father, be gracious to me because I trust in you alone and I find peace and solace in your wings, in the shadow of your wings, until the plague finishes. Another person is calling out and saying, Oy Gewalt, my sweet Father in heaven, may Hashem scatter all of his enemies. Another person cries out in a bitter voice and says, dear Father, even a bird has a nest. When is your temple going to be rebuilt? And another person screaming and saying, dear beloved, merciful Father, return to us and save us and take your anger away from us. When the Holy Brotherhood heard these songs, heard the Tehillim, they were trembling, and their holy eyes, while they were closed, started to cry. Without crying, just tears started coming down their cheeks. And their hearts were broken looking at these people, or hearing these people singing to Hashem, wishing to themselves that they could one day pray to God in that level. They wish they could one day copy that God should help them be able to daven with such sincerity. Baal Shem Tov took his right hand off, both of his hands off his students to his right and left, and all of a sudden they stopped hearing this song. And the Baal Shem Tov told the students to open their eyes, and they should sing again a few more songs. At that time, the Mizitcha Magid, who was then a student of Baal Shem Tov, told the Alter Rebbe later that at that time, when I heard the Tehillim, it caused my soul to pour out with great yearning to Hashem, until my whole body was soaked in sweat from the tears of tshuva. All my clothing were soaked in sweat and tears from this experience of hearing them saying the Tehillim in this beautiful way. So when the Baal Shem Tov stopped singing, everyone was quiet, and the Baal Shem Tov was in a state again of dveikus for a while, and then he opened up his eyes and he said, "The song and the melody that you heard is the song of the simple people who are saying Tehillim with sincerity, with depth of their heart and simple faith." The Alter Rebbe told the story to the Tzemach Tzedek, and he said that the Mizitcha Magid told him that it bothered him for a long time. How come he questioned his teacher? It bothered him for a long time. Why did I question my teacher? Why did I question my teacher? He did different things to try to rectify the fact that he had a suffocated doubt about the ways of Baal Shem Tov. It bothered him, and until he saw something special. The Alter Rebbe did not tell Tzemach Tzedek what he saw, but a week before the Alter Rebbe's passing, the Alter Rebbe told Tzemach Tzedek what he had seen, what the Magid had seen that calmed him, that made him feel better about his doubts about the Baal Shem Tov. He said that in one of his trips while he was alive to Helcholos El Yonim, to the holy spheres, to the holy chambers in heaven, the place in Gan Eden, on his way back from visiting various chambers in heaven, he stopped by a chamber in which he saw students, little children, studying Torah, and Moshe Rabbeinu. These children are sitting around the table in Gan Eden. They're learning Chumash, and Moshe Rabbeinu is sitting at the head of the table. All of the children at that time were learning Parshas Lech Lecha, and one of the children calls out and reads the pasuk, just like they do in schools here. That's what they do in Gan Eden as well. One of the children calls out the pasuk of today's Chitas, and Avram, he was told by Hashem that he was going to have a child. It says in the Torah, Avram laughed. And he said, how could it be he at 100 years old, and Sarah at 90 years old, how could they have a child? And so the obvious question is, Avram's questioning Hashem. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to the children, all explanations of every verse in the Torah are true, but every verse also has a simple meaning, and you can never extract a verse from its most simple meaning. And he said the reason why it's possible that Avram Avinu laughed, how is it possible that Avram Avinu laughed? It's because even a holy body is physical too. And therefore, it's possible for a holy body, even though he's a holy person, it's still possible for him to laugh because he has a body. The Alter Rebbe told Tzemach Tzedek that when the Mezritcher Maggid heard that because of the body it's possible to have questions, so that automatically, that made him, that calmed him down on why he questioned the Baal Shem Tov. It's unnecessary to say, says the previous Rebbe in this letter, which says a story, that from that time until now, many things have changed. I neglected, I'm sorry, to say one more thing the Baal Shem Tov said to the students, which is really the punchline. He told the students, if we are all, he said, the Baal Shem Tov said like this, if we are only the lip of truth, because the body isn't true, but we are, and only the neshama is true, and the neshama only is a portion of godliness, only a portion of God's essence, and that's why it's called just the lip of truth. But yet, still, because we have the neshama, we recognize the truth, or because we have a soul, which is part of Hashem, we recognize the truth, we feel the truth, and we get excited about the truth. So that's just us who have a neshama. We recognize the truth, we feel the truth, we get excited about the truth. So Baal Shem Tov says, how much more so Hashem, who is absolutely true, Emsamite, he recognizes the truth of the Tehillim of these simple people. The Baal Shem Tov told the students that the Tehillim that they heard was a Tehillim of these simple people, and this, of course, is cherished by Hashem because Hashem is truth. In other words, we are not so true, and yet we recognize how valuable truth is. How much more so Hashem, who is the truth of truth, how much more so does he recognize and appreciate the simplicity of these people who are saying to him with truth. And the previous Rebbe concludes, although things have changed a lot since the time the story took place, but in our time our hearts are less, our minds are less, but he says, the simple, sincere, precious faith in Hashem, with God's kindness and the merit of our holy Rabbeim, just like in that time, so too in our time, this faith is there and has a power to animate our observance of Torah and mitzvahs and good character. So may Hashem help that we tap into that faith, and as the Talmud says, that it was in the merit of faith that we redeemed from Mitzrayim, and it will be with the merit of our simple faith in Hashem that we redeemed from this exile. So this is the power that transported us out of Mitzrayim and took Avram out of where he was and caused him to listen to Hashem Lechacha. And this will bring us to have Lechacha right now, to leave from Golus and go to Eretz Asher Reka, to let Hashem will show us the coming Mashiach Karev Mamish. This should happen now. L'chaim v'bracha.
L'chaim v'bracha. Amen.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Okay, good vach.
You can rest. Good vach.